All right, let's get started with a little inspiration for our deep dive today. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. That's Jimmy Johnson, and it's a great reminder as we jump into today's UPSC Current Affairs. It's March 1st, 2025, and we're tackling Part 1, specially curated for all you dedicated UPSC aspirants out there. You might recognize some of these topics. Think of it as a power-packed revision session. Oh, and before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an update. Ready?
Let's jump right into some international law, shall we? The Hague Service Convention is in the news, and it's definitely something that could pop up on your UPSC exam.
Okay, fill us in. The U.S. is using this to try to serve Gautam Adani with summons. It sounds kind of obscure. What's the significance here?
It is specific, but it really highlights how international legal cooperation works. The Hague Service Convention is basically all about making sure that legal documents from one country are recognized and can be served in another. Think of it as a global postal service, but for legal stuff.
So it streamlines things when you're dealing with international cases.
Exactly. Now, here's where it gets interesting for India. We joined the convention back in 2006, but we had some reservations. So there are specific rules about serving these documents in India. For instance, we usually don't allow them to be served through diplomatic channels unless certain conditions are met.
So even though it's an international treaty, each country can still set some boundaries. What happens if a country, say India, just refuses to serve the documents? Does that just bring everything to a halt?
Not necessarily. The Hague Convention actually allows for what are called default judgments. So if a country's not playing ball and it's been a reasonable amount of time, the court can issue a judgment even without proof the documents were served. And get this, India has specifically said our courts can issue those default judgments as long as the convention's conditions are met. Think about what that could mean in a case like this Adani situation.
It definitely adds another layer, doesn't it? This isn't just legal technicalities. It could have broader implications, geopolitically speaking.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that international law often intersects with political realities. For you, as a UPSC aspirant, it's not just about knowing the laws, but also about how they actually play out in the real world, what they might mean for India's interests.
Okay, so from international law, let's switch gears and head over to the world of biodiversity. We're going to the Idukki Wildlife Sanctuary in Kerala. A new survey there has uncovered a bunch of new species.
This is a perfect example of why we need to protect those biodiversity hotspots. The survey found 14 new bird species, 15 new butterfly species, and 8 new odonid species, which are dragonflies and damselflies. That's on top of the amazing variety of plants and animals that are already known to be there.
For anyone who might not be familiar with this particular sanctuary, can you give us a little background?
Sure. The Idukki Wildlife Sanctuary was established back in 1976, and it covers a large area in the Idukki district of Kerala. It's home to all sorts of species, like elephants, bison, sambar deer, even the endangered Nilgiri tahr, which is a mountain goat that you can only find in the Western Ghats.
And this recent discovery really underscores the ongoing need for conservation.
Right. Absolutely. It's a reminder that there are still new species out there waiting to be discovered, even in places that have been studied quite a bit, like the Western Ghats. This ties directly to your UPSC syllabus, the importance of biodiversity, the value of protected areas, and the need for constant conservation efforts both in India and globally.
From the landscapes of Idukki, let's shift our attention to a pressing public health issue. It's anti-retroviral therapy, art, and its intersection with the Supreme Court. This case really highlights the challenges of ensuring everyone has access to good quality healthcare.
It does. The Supreme Court is looking into concerns about the availability and quality of art drugs for people living with HIV/AIDS. This really underscores how important the judiciary is in protecting the right to health, which is a fundamental aspect of social justice.
Could you break down what art is and why it's so crucial for those living with HIV/AIDS?
RT is a combination of medications that work together to suppress the HIV virus. HIV attacks the immune system, leaving people vulnerable to infections. What RT does is it stops the virus from multiplying, giving the immune system a chance to recover and get stronger. It's not a cure, but it's essential for millions of people. The Supreme Court's involvement in this case just shows how urgent it is to ensure consistent access to these medications.
It's a powerful reminder that healthcare isn't just about treatments. It's also about access, affordability, and social justice. Now, switching gears to a global health milestone, the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control is celebrating its 20th anniversary.
2 decades of fighting the global tobacco epidemic. It's a major accomplishment. This treaty, adopted in 2003 and in effect since 2005, has been instrumental in shaping tobacco control policies all around the world.
Can you remind our listeners about the key points of this convention and how India has been implementing its provisions?
It takes a broad approach, tackling both the demand for tobacco and the supply. It encourages countries to use taxes and price measures to discourage tobacco use. It also pushes for protection from secondhand smoke, regulation of what goes into tobacco products, and even controlling the packaging and labeling. India ratified the convention in 2004 and has been taking steps to align our policies with those recommendations.
This is a great example of how international treaties can actually translate into concrete actions at the national level.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the world of finance now, specifically General Anti Avoidance Rules, or GAAR. It's a topic that frequently comes up in the UPSC exam, and for good reason.
Absolutely. The latest news is about a proposed change to the income tax bill, which could give the authorities more power to issue reassessment notices under GAAR. Let's break this down for our listeners. What exactly is GAAR, and why should they care about it?
GAAR is India's way of combating aggressive tax avoidance. Basically, it's meant to stop companies from exploiting loopholes in the law to unfairly reduce their taxes. It's been in effect since 2017, and it's a key part of our Income Tax Act. Now, the change that's being proposed could mean the time frame for reassessment notices gets extended. Potentially, this could make people think twice about aggressive tax avoidance, but it also raises concerns about potential harassment and prolonged uncertainty for taxpayers.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? Trying to ensure fairness in the tax system, but also protecting the rights of taxpayers.
Exactly. For those preparing for the UPSC, it's really important to grasp these nuances. You need to understand how complex our taxation laws are, the economic policies in place, and how the government is trying to prevent tax evasion.
And speaking of protecting rights, let's move on to the Animal Welfare Board of India, which is undergoing a major overhaul. It really underscores that animal welfare is becoming more and more recognized as essential for a just and compassionate society.
The Animal Welfare Board of India has been around since 1962 and plays a vital role in protecting animal rights. Now, the government is updating its guidelines, making them more relevant and better at preventing animal cruelty. This resonates with a key theme in the UPSC syllabus: the ethical treatment of animals and the role of government bodies in safeguarding their welfare.
It shows that animal welfare is not a fringe issue anymore. It's a matter of national importance. All right, let's dive into the world of folklore and marine mysteries now. Have you heard about the Doomsday Fish?
Ah, yes, the oarfish. There have been some recent sightings of this rare deep-sea creature, especially around Baja California Sur in Mexico. And of course, it sparked all sorts of chatter online.
It's that really long snake-like fish,
Yeah.
right? What's the ominous nickname Doomsday Fish?
Right. It's gotten that nickname Doomsday Fish because of folklore and myths that connect its appearance to upcoming natural disasters. For instance, in Japanese folklore, the oarfish has been linked to earthquakes for centuries. This belief got even stronger in 2011 when several oarfish washed ashore in Japan just a few months before that massive Tohoku earthquake and tsunami.
So it's a case of an unusual sea creature sparking cultural beliefs and anxieties about natural disasters. It's where science, culture, and human perception all kind of come together.
Exactly. And as a UPSC aspirant, it's a reminder that understanding cultural beliefs and how they connect to natural events is all part of the bigger picture.
Speaking of celestial events, we've got a blood moon coming up. Sadly, it won't be visible from India this time.
It's true. A total lunar eclipse, what we often call a blood moon, is happening on March 14th, but it won't be visible from India.
Even though we can't see it ourselves, can you explain what causes this phenomenon and why it's called a blood moon?
A blood moon happens during a total lunar eclipse. When the Earth passes directly between the sun and the moon, it blocks sunlight from directly hitting the moon. But some sunlight still gets to the moon indirectly, passing through the Earth's atmosphere. Now, Earth's atmosphere scatters shorter wavelength light, like blue and green, while the longer wavelengths, like red and orange, pass through. That's why the moon looks reddish during a total lunar eclipse. If you're in the Americas, Western Europe, Western Africa, or parts of the Atlantic, you'll be able to see this spectacle.
It's a reminder that even though we're focused on current affairs here on Earth, there's a whole universe of fascinating things going on out there.
Exactly. And having a grasp of basic astronomy concepts is definitely part of your UPSC syllabus.
Okay, back down to Earth now, specifically to the Western Ghats. Researchers in Maharashtra have discovered a new species of frog. It's really a testament to the incredible biodiversity of that region.
This new frog, its scientific name is Minervarya Ghatiborealis, is a member of the Minervarya genus, sometimes called cricket frogs. These frogs are known for having parallel lines on their bellies and their calls that sound a bit like nightingales. Now, Minervarya Ghatiborealis stands out because it has unique breeding calls, different from the other frogs in the genus, and its name actually gives you a clue about where it's from. Ghati is a Sanskrit word for western, and borealis is Latin for northern. So Minervarya Ghatiborealis literally means from the northwestern Ghats.
What a fantastic discovery. It really highlights how important the Western Ghats are as a biodiversity hotspot and the need for continued research and conservation efforts.
It does. The Western Ghats is one of the most biodiverse places on the planet, and there are still new species being discovered there. For UPSC aspirants, this is a reminder about biodiversity, endemism, and how crucial it is to protect fragile ecosystems like the Western Ghats.
And finally, we're blasting off to space for our last topic in this segment. NASA has launched the Lunar Trailblazer Spacecraft, and it's on a mission to find and map water on the moon's surface. It's a great example of how exploring space is connected to our understanding of our own planet.
It is. Understanding lunar water is really important for future lunar exploration. It could even hold clues about where water on Earth came from. This mission also shows the incredible advancements in space technology and how important global collaboration is for these kinds of endeavors.
It's a good way to end this first part of our deep dive. We've covered a lot, but there's more to come.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue exploring the most important current affairs for your UPSC preparation.
Welcome back, everyone. We're diving right back into our March 1st, 2025 Current Affairs deep dive. Ready for more key topics to help you ace that UPSC exam?
You bet. Let's shift our focus from the moon and talk about something a little closer to home, India's stock markets. SEBI, that's the Securities and Exchange Board of India, is getting serious about algo trading.
Algo trading? That sounds pretty futuristic. What exactly is it, and why is SEBI tightening the reins?
It might sound like it's from a sci-fi movie, but it's a big part of today's financial world. Algo trading is short for algorithmic trading, which is basically where computer programs execute trades super fast based on instructions that are programmed in advance. These algorithms can analyze market data and pick up on trends way faster than any human trader ever could.
So it's kind of like having a superpowered trading assistant constantly working in the market. But why the need for more scrutiny? Is it a case of giving too much power to machines?
Algo trading can definitely make things more efficient and bring liquidity to the market. But there are potential risks too. Imagine if these algorithms go haywire or someone uses them to manipulate the market. That could be disastrous. SEBI's new guidelines are all about making sure things are fair and mitigating those risks. Algo trading firms now have to do thorough risk assessments of their algorithms, and they face much stricter monitoring and bigger penalties if they break the rules.
It's a classic situation where technology is disrupting traditional systems and the regulations need to catch up. Definitely an important area for UPSC aspirants to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Understanding how financial markets operate, the role of regulatory bodies like SEBI, and the challenges that come with advancements like algo trading is essential. Let's move from finance to international diplomacy now. India is hosting the QUAD Foreign Ministers meeting, a pretty significant event on the global stage.
The QI has been in the news quite a bit lately. Just a refresher for our listeners, what exactly is the QID and why is this meeting such a big deal?
The QID, or Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, is a strategic forum. It brings together 4 key players: India, the United States, Japan, and Australia. They all share the goal of promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific region. This meeting is happening at a time when there are a lot of geopolitical tensions. The QID members will probably discuss a range of pressing issues, things like maritime security, counterterrorism efforts, and fostering economic cooperation.
India, being the host nation, really highlights our increasing influence, both regionally and on the world stage.
Exactly. Many people see the QAD as a way to balance China's growing assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific. India's active participation really emphasizes our commitment to a rules-based international order and making sure there's peace and stability in the region.
It's a key reminder for UPSC aspirants to really understand India's foreign policy priorities, our strategic partnerships, and the changing geopolitical landscape, especially in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, let's switch gears again and talk about a major development in the world of science, a huge milestone in nuclear fusion research.
This is a big one. Scientists have, for the first time, achieved a net energy gain from a nuclear fusion reaction.
Nuclear fusion, that's the holy grail of clean energy, isn't it? The process that powers the sun.
That's it. And unlike nuclear fission, which is what we use in nuclear power plants and produces radioactive waste, nuclear fusion is clean, safe, and has the potential to be limitless. This breakthrough brings us closer to being able to harness the power of the stars right here on Earth.
It almost sounds too good to be true. Does this mean we're on the verge of a clean energy revolution?
Well, this breakthrough is a significant leap forward, but we still have a long way to go before fusion power becomes a practical reality. We need to figure out how to sustain these reactions for much longer periods and then develop fusion power plants that are commercially viable. But it's a real testament to human ingenuity and what we can achieve through scientific collaboration.
It's definitely a story that gives us hope for a more sustainable future. Okay. From the cutting edge of science, let's zoom in on the always evolving world of social media. Instagram is rolling out a new age verification system, and this raises some interesting questions about online safety and data privacy.
It does. Instagram's been under a lot of pressure for not doing enough to protect younger users, and this new system is an attempt to address those concerns. They're going to use artificial intelligence, or AI, to try and figure out a user's age based on their photos and videos.
So if someone says they're 18 or older, but the AI thinks they look a lot younger, their account could get flagged.
Exactly. And if the AI can't determine the user's age with confidence, it'll ask them for more proof of age, like uploading a government ID. This is where things get a little complicated. How accurate and how effective is this AI really going to be? And what about the privacy implications of collecting and analyzing user data this way?
It's a tricky situation. You have this need to protect young people from potential online harm, but then you have these concerns about privacy and the possibility of AI bias.
Absolutely. It highlights how technological advances often come with ethical considerations. As a UPSC aspirant, you need to be aware of these complexities. You need to be able to analyze the social impacts of technology, the ethical dilemmas that come with AI, and the challenges of online safety and data privacy. Let's shift gears again from the digital world to something more tangible, India's rich cultural heritage. The government has just announced a major initiative to restore and preserve ancient temples all over the country.
That's fantastic news. India has so many architectural marvels, and a lot of them really need attention. What's the scope of this initiative?
The government has set aside a significant amount of money for this. They're planning to restore and preserve over 1,000 ancient temples throughout the country. This project will involve expert archaeologists, conservationists, and skilled artisans. It's not just about fixing the structures, it's also about documenting the history and the cultural significance of these temples. They're going to create digital archives and really raise public awareness.
It's a great reminder of how important it is to preserve our cultural heritage for the generations to come. It also shows the government's commitment to protecting these treasures.
Absolutely. For anyone preparing for the UPSC, this highlights the significance of India's art and architectural heritage, the challenges of conservation, and the role that government initiatives play in protecting our cultural legacy. Now let's turn our attention to another area where the government is being proactive, the push for people to adopt electric vehicles, or EVs.
EVs are definitely a hot topic right now. What's driving this push, and what's India doing to speed up EV adoption?
It's a multifaceted push, driven by a few key factors. The need to reduce our carbon footprint, combat air pollution, and become less reliant on fossil fuels. The government has set some ambitious goals. They want 30% of new vehicle sales to be electric by 2030. They're using a multi-pronged approach to try and achieve this, offering financial incentives for EV buyers, setting up charging infrastructure, and encouraging domestic manufacturing of both EVs and batteries.
It's a clear indication that India is serious about transitioning to a greener and more sustainable transportation system.
Exactly. This is a prime example of how technology, environmental sustainability, and government policy all come together, crucial themes for UPSC aspirants. Let's delve into the world of medical research now. Scientists are working on a promising new vaccine for dengue fever.
Dengue is a major problem in India, especially during the monsoon season. What makes this new vaccine different from the ones we already have?
Existing dengue vaccines have some limitations. They only offer partial protection and sometimes carry risks. This new vaccine is being developed with the hope that it will be a game changer. It's designed to provide much broader and longer-lasting immunity against all 4 types of the dengue virus.
That's incredible. If it's successful, it could have a huge impact on public health in India and other regions affected by dengue. It shows how scientific research continues to give us hope, in the fight against these infectious diseases.
Absolutely. It highlights the importance of advancements in medical research, the challenges of battling infectious diseases, and the potential of vaccines in safeguarding public health, all relevant themes for your UPSC preparation. Okay, let's talk about agriculture for a moment. India is putting a lot of effort into boosting millet production.
Millets, those are those ancient grains, right?
Yeah.
My grandmother used to talk about them. Why is there this renewed focus on these traditional crops?
Millets are having a revival. The United Nations declared 2023 the International Year of Millets. And for good reason. These grains are packed with nutrients, they're climate resilient, and they're well suited to the diverse agroclimatic conditions we have in India.
So it's a win-win situation, right? Promoting a healthy, sustainable food source and supporting Indian farmers at the same time. How are they going about increasing millet production?
The government's taking a comprehensive approach. They're giving financial help to farmers, promoting research to develop high-yielding millet varieties, and educating consumers about the benefits of millets.
It's great to see these ancient grains making a comeback. It's a reminder that sometimes the solutions to our modern problems are found in traditional wisdom.
Exactly. This topic aligns perfectly with your UPSC syllabus. It touches on the importance of sustainable agriculture, the challenges we face with food security, and how the government can help ensure nutritional security. All right, get ready to cheer because we're heading to the world of sports now. India is gearing up to host the ICC World Cup in 2025.
Cricket fever is about to take over the nation. The last time India hosted the World Cup was back in 2011, and we won. I'm sure fans are hoping for another victory. What can we expect from this massive event?
Get ready for a cricketing extravaganza. The tournament is expected to bring a significant boost to the economy with increased tourism, infrastructure development, and job creation. And of course, there's that feeling of excitement and national pride that comes with hosting such a prestigious event.
It's a reminder that sports aren't just about entertainment. They also have a major cultural and economic impact. Now, for our last topic in this segment, let's discuss a complex social issue that's causing quite a bit of debate: the government's proposal to raise the minimum age of marriage for women.
This is a topic that could have far-reaching effects. Right now, the legal age for women to marry in India is 18. The government wants to increase that to 21, which would be the same as the legal age for men.
It's a move that's intended to empower women, but not everyone agrees with it.
That's right. The government's argument is that this will improve women's health, their educational outcomes, and lead to a healthier population overall. But some people argue that it won't actually address the root causes of child marriage, things like poverty and deeply ingrained social norms, and that it could actually infringe on individual rights.
It's a complex issue with valid points on both sides. It reminds us that as UPSC aspirants, we need to think critically about social issues, understand different viewpoints, and form well-informed opinions. We're back for the final part of our UPSC Current Affairs Deep Dive, March 1st, 2025. We've covered a lot of ground, but we still have a few more crucial topics to discuss.
We've journeyed from the complexities of international law all the way to the frontiers of space. Now, let's bring things back down to earth, literally, and talk about the Indian economy.
The latest data looks pretty promising, doesn't it? India's GDP growth is exceeding expectations. What's driving this positive momentum?
It's a combination of factors, really. We're seeing robust performance across key sectors like manufacturing, services, and agriculture. Consumer demand is strong, and the government's initiatives are definitely playing a role in boosting investment and developing infrastructure.
So it seems like the Indian economy is on a pretty solid growth trajectory.
Absolutely. And for all of you preparing for the UPSC, this is a key area to stay on top of. Understanding economic indicators, government policies, and what's happening in the global economy is essential for your exam.
Okay, so from the big picture of the economy, let's zoom in on a specific industry that's been making headlines: the pharmaceutical sector. India isn't just the pharmacy of the world anymore, producing affordable generic drugs. We're becoming a global hub for pharmaceutical research and development.
It's an incredible transformation. Indian pharma companies are really stepping up, investing in cutting-edge research, developing new drugs and therapies, and collaborating with international partners.
It sounds like a win-win, boosting the Indian economy and contributing to solving global health challenges.
Exactly. It really highlights India's growing scientific capabilities and our potential to be a leader in the global healthcare landscape. For those of you aiming for the UPSC, keep in mind the advancements in the pharmaceutical industry and how India's role on the world stage is evolving.
From medicine, let's switch to environmental conservation. There's a unique initiative focused on protecting India's endangered wildlife. It's the creation of what are called wildlife corridors.
It's an interesting approach to conservation. Wildlife corridors are basically protected strips of land that connect fragmented habitats. They act like safe pathways so animals can move freely between different areas.
It's like building bridges for animals, helping them move safely through landscapes that are increasingly dominated by humans. Why are these corridors so important?
They're crucial for a few reasons. They help ensure genetic diversity, they can reduce conflicts between humans and wildlife, and ultimately they help guarantee the survival of endangered species. As urbanization and infrastructure keep encroaching on natural habitats, these corridors become essential.
It's a constant challenge, isn't it? Balancing human development with the need to protect the environment.
It is. And this is a key point for all you future UPSC officers. It highlights how important biodiversity conservation is, the challenges we face with habitat fragmentation, and the innovative solutions being implemented to protect India's amazing wildlife.
From the wild, let's head to the halls of academia. The government is rolling out some major reforms in higher education, aiming to give young people in India the skills they need to thrive in the 21st century.
These reforms are all about moving away from just memorization and rote learning. It's about fostering critical thinking, problem solving, and practical skills that are relevant to the job market. The focus is on innovation, entrepreneurship, and skill development.
So what specific changes are being made to reach those goals?
Well, there are a few key things. They're introducing new courses that blend different disciplines, they're encouraging universities to work with industries, and they're creating more opportunities for research and innovation. The goal is to build a more dynamic and responsive education system that really prepares students for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
It's definitely a step in the right direction, creating a more skilled and adaptable workforce.
Absolutely. And for you, as UPSC aspirants, it's important to stay informed about what's happening in the education sector and how these changes will shape India's future. Now, for our final topic, let's look skyward. India's space program is achieving new milestones with the recent launch of a new Earth observation satellite.
This is a reminder that India is a major force in the global space race. What's so special about this particular satellite?
Think of Earth observation